About a year ago, the governor of Oklahoma, Mary Fallin, issued an executive order in the state telling authorities to find out just why exactly they have a backlog of thousands of unused rape kits. Now, Molly, this is not necessarily something that is unique to Oklahoma, but right now it looks like we're only seeing Oklahoma finally start to say, we have thousands of rape kits, we have thousands of cases of rape.
Yes.
These aren't being used. What the heck is going on? And I'm glad Mary Fallin's looking for answers, but there's still too many questions.
You're exactly right. It seems like the more answers they find to these questions, they're just coming up with more questions. And one thing that's certainly apparent is that testing evidence in rape cases has not been a priority for the state of Oklahoma. And like you said, I'm sure it's a problem with other states as well. But to have 7,000 untested rape kits, that adds to the trauma, I would imagine, for many of these victims. And that's not to assume that each and every one is going to be proven to be true. You know, maybe there were some false allegations, but either way, those victims that really did experience a crime, they want to know the answer so that they can have some closure in their life and move forward. And the fact that they don't have the funding and that they didn't make it there was no statute that dictated when they had to have these tests tested, if you will, within a certain amount of time. So they just languished and sat there, and these cases went nowhere. And it certainly looks like no one takes rape allegations seriously, and that's not a good thing in this #MeToo era.
Right. And, you know, women very rarely, even after the Me Too thing, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
right.
It's always, she's making it up. No, it was actually consensual. Oh, she was, you know, wearing something. There's some kind of excuse in nearly every case. You know, I constantly think of the Jameis Winston issue at FSU.
Yes.
Oh, he was a famous athlete. She knew he was going to make money, so she came forward with these allegations, which actually happened before he was even on the football team.
But the spin.
Before she even knew this guy was an athlete. So there's always, whether it's high profile or even low profile, police officers, as you and I have discussed on this show before, they don't even want to talk about it. There was the one police station,
Yes.
I forget where it was, but they had the wall of shame, they called it, of women who made allegations that they, you know, decided were false. So they put their picture up on the wall so that women who came in to report something, that's the first thing they're greeted with.
Right.
If you're lying, or if we think you are, or if we don't want to investigate it, we're going to shame you to hell and back.
Yeah, put the burden of proof on the victim. And you would think that hopefully in this discussion, this era where we're talking about these kinds of cases now, that there would be this tendency to believe, and not in a unfair sort of way, but
Right.
just in a, hey, can we have a balanced sort of way, as opposed to your wall of shames or your attitude that, you know, these women did something to bring this on themselves. But it's interesting because they this task force that was compiled, you know, that Oklahoma ordered to take a look at these untested cases and kits, had a list showing the reasons why they weren't tested, percentage-wise. And what was interesting to me is the highest percentage was 32% listed as other, with no explanation offered as to why it wasn't tested. You know, so that's concerning. And then they said 23% were a lack of victim cooperation. And that bothers me too, because to a certain extent, and I need to become more familiar with Oklahoma's laws, but police do have, and prosecutors as well, from my understanding, you know, at least a little bit of leeway in pursuing these cases, regardless of what the victim necessarily wants, if they believe a crime has been committed. So it looks like they're looking for an excuse.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times too, they'll make these women jump through obscene hoops. They treat them poorly. So if you go in there and you get shamed to the point where
Yes.
you know they don't believe you, it is going to make you less likely to cooperate, if that's even the actual reason. I mean, you know, cops don't like to deal with this. You know, not all of them. You know, just like not all of them are going to shoot an unarmed person, but there's too many out there that do. There's too many that want to shame these women
Yes.
rather than help them. And these rape kits were basically designed to take that question mark away.
Evidence.
You know, is she real? Is she not? Did this happen? That's why we have these. That's why you're supposed to use them. In the backlog in Oklahoma, 7,000 unused, and at least they're asking for answers, you know. But again, this is not unique to Arizona. This is or Oklahoma, excuse me. It's something that can happen all over the country, and it is. I mean, rape kits are
Pervasive.
going untested all over the country.
Well, and it's interesting because they are going to pursue legislative funding to get the rest of these, to get up to speed, caught up on all these tests that haven't been tested yet. But it does make you wonder. They seem to be able to find state after state after state finds the money that they need to do whatever the popular or in the spotlight issue is of the moment. And good for the governor here for at least making this a spotlight issue, for trying to get people on board with it. Hopefully it will encourage more women to come forward and report. Hopefully it will encourage prosecutors to pursue these cases. And they are getting more agencies on board who will participate in this testing process as long as they get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? There's actually some other good news this week that's kind of mixed in with a little bad news. And that is that on Wednesday, the plans, the blueprints for printable 3D guns were supposed to be released here in the United States. August 1st was when this defense distributed, this group was going to unleash these blueprints. You can make everything from AR-15s to pistols, semi-automatics, print them at home on your 3D printer, untraceable, untrackable.
Horrifying.
But luckily we had a judge with enough common sense to step in and say, yeah, we're going to prevent this, at least for now. They have until August 10th, I believe, but this is utter insanity.
It is utter insanity. It makes me think that the NRA is somehow funding the software to make this happen, because otherwise, why would they want to let anybody dip into their pocketbooks for manufacturing these human being killing weapons?
I know. And when you think about the reason we have gun laws and ID checks and serial numbers on guns is so that we can track who has what.
Right.
If it's used in a crime, we can trace it back, get the ballistics. We know it came from this. When we change it to, oh, if you have a 3D printer, which consumer ones you can get for about $1,000. Well, imagine how much money you can make selling printed guns, in a week. You can easily pay for a printer. I mean, this seems like something that criminals would absolutely love to get their hands on, because they can fund, however many printers they want, make these weapons, go out, sell them. They're untraceable. You cannot trace them back to a dealer, to a shop, or even a human being. And they can be used in crimes across the board.
I know, and especially when it's such a hot button issue because of what happened with Parkland, and obviously we've had any number of, mass shootings in this country, and the issue of guns and closing loopholes and how to test for, make sure that somebody doesn't have mental illness, and that they're following various state rules when it comes to, who can buy a gun and who can't. This sort of takes it to a whole nother level and puts it in the realm of, again, regulating technology. And here you have the state of Pennsylvania and other states trying to regulate this technology. And then you have these plans posted online, so now people can access them for free. And in some ways, and I know this dates me, but it harkens back to when, online first started coming around, people were really utilizing it. And they were worried about kids getting plans for bomb making materials.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.